Didn't watch a movie today. I could watch one now. 9:30 is not a bad time to start. End up finishing at like 12. I don't really have the energy. I'm too tired. It's like I want to play Life is Strange Before the Storm, but I'm just too tired. I'm literally just too tired, bro. It's not because I don't want to play it. That's why I hadn't played it already. I would have played it years ago. Years ago, but I'm so tired all the time. So tired all the time, so I don't play it. And it's depressing, like playing these Life is Strange type games just reminds me of how I don't have friends. Watching movies reminds me I've got no romantic interest and no friends and my parents are shit. Stupid ass life. Bro, what? It didn't save. I was already in the sushi place. Now I have to do it again. Now I have to do it again, bro. What else have I got a bunch of? Fuck. Do we make some money? How much do we make? Like 1,000? Not that much. Isn't it weird to be alive? Just ate some crushed, no, not crushed, baked almonds. No, fried sliced almonds. Yeah. Well, I can't catch any more tuna because I've got no things. Drones or whatever. That's annoying. Ooh, Hagar. Can look at this screen and do it. That's actually really tricky. Oh, come on. Ouch. In another life. Da 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 da. Da 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 da. Stupid ass song. Stupid ass song. Katy Perry reminds me of when everything was so ultra white. It sucked. That sucked. I'm glad that's over. I'm glad, like, there are a lot of negatives of the current age, but, like, out of, the change, but, no, I'm glad it has changed to a certain extent. I'm supposed to have these mines or something. Where do I even get them from? Do I buy them from the guy? Buy them from Cobra or something. Ah. Yes. Ah. Oh, shit. Wish I had energy. I wish it were easier to tell how much energy you had. Like, I wish you didn't have to rely on just the feeling. Because it's actually hard to tell. Like, it's so variable. You buy them from this guy, don't you? Where's the Cobra shop? Where's management? I don't know where the Cobra shop is. Where is it? It's not there. So I'm actually not at the level yet, so I'm not going to be able to do this event. Because I don't have drones yet. I don't know where to find these. Like, please check out where the currents flow. And then it's like, where do the currents flow? I don't know. Who knows? Wish I lived in Wellington. It's such a better city than Christchurch. I don't like Christchurch. Christchurch sucks. Christchurch has always been a shithole. It was trash even before the earthquakes. Now it's still trash. It hasn't recovered. It's still trash. It's still a dogshit city. It's still third rate. It's fucking trash. Wellington is better than Christchurch, and that's not debatable. Wellington is an actual functioning city, and Christchurch is just a shithole place that's super spread out with heaps of people in it. I wish I lived in Wellington. So follow the currents. Well, I think the current's going down here. Or is it the limestone cave? Is that where it wants me to go? Uh... I think they want me to go down here. Where do the currents flow? Is that a current? Ah, here we go. Oof. No. Oh, there it is. No. It's crazy how widespread video game playing is these days. Like, so many women I see on TikTok streaming video games and on Twitch. It's like really popular now, and it's not just like, you know, specifically women games or usual style. It's like Valorant and Fortnite. I'm just gonna go to the servers because these things are being annoying. Let me just catch some fish. Why would I buy any of this? It doesn't actually improve your place. I am tired. I actually feel like I need to go to bed. It's only 10. Stupid ass life. So tired. I'll go throw up. Oh my neck. I wish I'd learned a second language or so growing up. I wish I'd learned Chinese. I wish New Zealand took itself seriously and started teaching people Chinese at a young age. Like, wouldn't it be useful to learn? Yes, it would. And instead, they're like, oh, we should be teaching all New Zealanders Maori, a language which nobody speaks, which has absolutely no use anywhere, especially considering everyone who speaks Maori speaks English. It's not a useful language. It should be Chinese. It should be mandatory Chinese lessons in school. Seriously. It's the largest trading partner. It's a worthwhile country to get closer to. We already speak English, the language that the Americans speak. So let's learn Chinese, the other large country that has influence on world affairs. Like in Singapore, a lot of people speak Chinese. Singapore is close with China. New Zealand should be like Singapore. New Zealand would be so much better if it were more like Singapore, honestly. It'd be so much better. I wish I lived in Singapore. Oh, at least we got our freedom. What bullshit. It's worthless. Worthless. Singapore is a nice country and New Zealand's not. New Zealanders aren't very nice people, a lot of them. It's a terrible culture here that needs to be stamped out and corrected. And it's the men and the women. It's the men and the women. Dominant culture in this country fucking sucks and needs correction. Damn, I caught him. So sick of this fucking racist centralism, anti-white shit that you see all over social media these days. It gets recommended to me because TikTok or whatever thinks I'm interested in it. So many people literally think, oh yeah, minorities just know better. Blah blah blah. And like, oh yeah, all the minorities should just group together up against white people. Fucking stupid. It's not like multiculturalism. It's like being anti-white. There is a difference, and these people don't seem to know the difference. They push anti-white shit. If your view of multiculturalism is everyone but white people and just trashing white people doing anything for any reason, doing the same things that other groups of people do, right? Making the same mistakes, whatever. If that's your multiculturalism, it's like, what the fuck are you doing? That's not multiculturalism, you're just anti-white. Look at this annoying fucking shark. It's gonna stop me. Look, it's gonna stop me. This annoying fucking shark. Look, he's just hot. He's just camping it. He's literally just camping it. Oh my god, bro. Fuck off. Oh no. Come on, let me get to the surface in time. I've got tuna on me. Yes. Stupid fucking shark that camps the getaway thing. I'll be the first to say I don't really like white people that much. I know I'm from that group. It's fair for me to say though, I don't really like the culture that much. I think there are many fair criticisms, but a lot of the stuff they push as fair criticism isn't fair criticism at all. It's being hypercritical, picking reasons out of like non-reasons, and just being anti-white and saying, oh yeah, actually, everyone else knows it better. You know, this group is... What they're saying is essentially the group... It's slave morality where they go, oh yeah, actually, the group in the superior position is inferior and every other group of people is superior. They flip the logic and say, oh, what's strong is weak and what's weak is strong. That's what they do. It's fucking stupid. Instead of doing their own form of strength, they just attack the thing in the position of power. It's like tall poppy syndrome. It's like crab theory, crabs in a bucket thing. They just want to pull down the person in the top position, and not by giving fair criticism from a position of strength. It's by doing like just like being rude and shit. It's a lot of it. What I see is like over criticism. And these are strong and weak in quotations. I don't actually think all ethnic minorities are weak. I don't think Asians are weak, generally. They tend to do very well. They do well in school, they do well in business. Who's to say that they're weak? But they still have a heavy victim complex. Why? Do white people treat them badly? Possibly. I'm not gonna lie, I think they probably do. There is racism, I don't deny that. I think white people can be pretty shit a lot of the time, but why don't they just, like, do their own thing, if you know what I mean? Like, why do they have to have white people reduced in their strong position for them to feel themselves successful? Why can't they just be independently successful of this group? And like, as I've said, like, they are. You have like they don't like the term model minority, but if you pick the best of minority group, which is usually Northeast Asians, you know, Chinese, Japanese, Koreans, Taiwanese, they do well in school, better than whites on average. They do well in business. They get high-paying jobs, right? What's the problem aside from culturally, like, self-imposed cultural stuff? Is because people will say, oh, it's just racism. you know, like, oh, white people are just stopping them from rising up or whatever. Which is possibly that happens, but I mean, what are you gonna do, right? Do your own thing is what I would say. It's like you shouldn't rely on that group to help you out of a weaker position, right? Every ethnic group seems to favor their own group. I don't. I'm an outlier, but this is just the reality. When you say like, oh well, white people favor other whites, yeah, of course they do. It's just the same for blacks. It's the same for Asians. It's the same for every ethnic group. It's just white people. They say, oh, but white people can't do that. And then literally every other group of people does. I guarantee it. I know it for a fact. I've seen so many examples of non-whites favoring their own ethnicity, their own small group of people, over everyone else, right? And then you see on the... What was I saying? Yeah, they all favor their own group, but the white people aren't allowed to. And yet, so when you see white people doing it, it's a bad thing. This is what I mean by hyper-criticism. Is, every little thing a white person does is viewed under the magnifying glass or scope. It's viewed under the impression or bias or fundamental of like racist prejudice. It's like everything a white person does when you have this stupid fucking, it's like critical race theory or something, which I don't know much about it to be honest, but the retard explanation is that it's like it's like it's just saying white people are bad and blaming white people for everything. What is this is like the race essentialism thing is like doing Marxism, which is based in economic fact, and then where you have poor workers and rich capitalists, and then turning it into a race thing where you have like, you know, minority, like apparently worse off minorities, and then, you know, like the conspiracy of like powerful whites, you know, which anyone can see is just not true. It's just not the reality. Am I doing really well for being white? I mean, a little bit, but I'm not stopping people from. I'm not stopping ethnic minorities from doing well, am I? I don't have the power. This is like patriarchy. The difference is a rich person clearly benefits from exploitation and clearly has leverage for the fact of being rich. This is why Marxism makes sense. This is why proletariat capitalist is reality and makes sense. But they distract you and they push these other ones. The white person, by the fact of being white, even in a white majority country, does not immediately have leverage and have power over every other group of people. It's not a fact. It doesn't do that in the way that money does. It's the same with patriarchy, the same with the gender wars thing. The gender thing. Being male doesn't immediately and by default and in every situation give you leverage over a woman. It doesn't do that. But being rich does. Being rich always gives you leverage over the poor. It always puts you in a position of power. And any of these other things can be anything. You can be disability, female, ethnic minority, all of these things, marginalized. If you have money, you will have still in a capitalist society, which we all live in capitalist societies, you will have a massive amount of leverage still for the fact of being rich. And you will likely have made that money become rich through exploitation. This is the only way people become wealthy under capitalism, is usually exploitation. Exploitation of poorer workers. You pay people less than they're worth, less than they produce, and you make money off of the difference between the work they put in and the amount you can sell the product of that labor for. That's how Marxist economics works. That's how capitalism works. If capitalism didn't work like that, they wouldn't make any money, right? So anyway, hypercriticism of the strong group, hypervictimization of the weak, and the banding together of the ethnic minorities, the weak, i.e. the weak, against whites, i.e. the strong. I can't remember what my original point was. I see so many posts on social media where the point of the post seems to be whites are bad and everyone else is good because they're not white. And then it's as simple as that. And everything white people do is a bad thing. It's always racist. You know? People are really unsubtle about it these days as well. I'm sure it didn't used to be this bad. Like... And again, I like that there's been a change to the hegemony. I like that they're allowed, that they are having new people come in, but it's like, they're coming in and they're being like, white people are bad. And then clap, clap, clap from everyone else, including a bunch of white knight white people who go and defend them like these performative males who say, oh yeah, I'm a feminist, men are terrible, let's get rid of men, kill all men. You know, they say this stupid shit. I used to believe in some of that feminist stuff, and then... I mean, I believe in some fundamentals that just make sense, but it gets to a point where, yeah, what they want is like the virtual enslavement of men for women's needs. That's the end goal. The end goal is like women are only safe and successful if men are, like basically enslaved and declawed, and disarmed. Basically. This is something that these people believe. It's funny because this is the racist argument. The racist argument is that like whites are only safe if, say, in the United States, blacks are kept down. That's the racist argument from like, a couple hundred years ago. And to recent. People still believe that. This is what a lot of feminists believe about men. Who's saying it? Are men saying that about women? No. Some of them are, but they're fringe right-wingers. This is common feminist sentiment. This is like common sentiment amongst feminists, is that women are only safe if men are kept down and aren't free to do anything. These people who say that men should just be in prison and then prove their way out of it. It's fucking crazy. Is this fringe? Is this a fringe belief? Because this is pushed everywhere on social media. I've seen this heaps of times, over and over and over again. It's to the point where it's like a system of hate. Like there's virtually no difference between the hate pushed by the right wing groups and the hate pushed by like these feminist and ethnic minority groups. Sometimes it gets so far that they're saying essentially the same thing, and you just switch out the target for a different one. It's insane, and it's like accepted, and they allow it to be hosted and get heaps of likes on social media. Should be anti-capitalist. Instead, they focus on. Why didn't you? Hey, explain to me why. Why do they focus on being anti-white and anti-male? Why do they focus on identity politics? Because none of these people are poor. None of them are poor. And if they are, they're grifting. They're grifting. They're picking these things because they appeal to more people, including the wealthy, and the wealthy have money to support these things. And the wealthy actively funnel money into these identity politic things because, specifically, because it is a distraction from class, from capitalist versus worker, or capitalist versus poor person, rich and poor. It's a distraction from that, right? And this is why I find it so funny with these, like, the Asian example, where they are, like, exceptional. They do exceptionally well in society, but, oh, they don't get the highest positions. The highest positions are still the whites. And you're supposed to think that this is, like, some terrible, that this is, like, on the level of poverty or something. And it's not. But it gets pushed everywhere because this is what these people think is the biggest problem. It's like discrimination from like very privileged people against other very privileged people. It's the privileged against the slightly less privileged, as opposed to the privileged and the not privileged, right? Or the well-off discriminating against the slightly less well-off. And, what was the other one? Oh yeah, and then cultural issues. So-called cultural issues, i.e. identity politics. Which this all is, right? What's actually important? Race reduction. Not race reduction, fuck that. That's the not important one. And this is the thing about race reduction. You think it's just a right-wing thing. No, it's not. There are people who are not white, who are not right-wingers, who are supposedly leftist, left-winger ethnic minorities who are race reductionist. There are heaps and heaps of black people on social media, Asian people, people of all different ethnicities who think the most important thing is their own ethnicity and or like the fact that they're not white. That's what they define themselves by. Oh, well, I'm not white, therefore this is the most important thing. This is the most fundamental thing about their identity, because they're not poor. You hear it. It's why they're so fucking privileged, right? They're so fucking privileged. A lot of these people, so they focus on identity issues instead of actually significant stuff like money problems, right? Most of the homeless population is white, isn't it? It is. It is. Most of the homeless population is white. No one wants to hear about that, though, do they? No one wants to hear about the fact that, like, white people are also poor and have sickness and disability and all of these other things. Nobody likes to hear about a person like me. A person like me is fucking hated because I'm a straight white male who has chronic illness and disabling chronic illness, and I'm poor and I don't make money. No one wants to hear from me at all. I think I'm in an interesting situation, right? Because people want to say people like me are extremely privileged, and the government believes this because I'm not. They don't recognize the sickness I've got, which is actually, insult to injury. Considering how debilitating it is, right? I think my situation's quite interesting, and nobody else seems to give a shit, right? I'm not even like a right winger necessarily. Most of the time, I'm not. Sometimes I think they make a good point in countering retarded liberal and leftist arguments, but yeah, I've heard it said before, specifically about like East Asians in the United States. They're so well off. Most of them are upper middle class working petite bourgeois jobs, making a lot of money, like managerial class job money. They're not fucking blue collar. Their parents probably own a business, which is already petit bourgeois. They're making money employing other people and off of products instead of their own labor. It does include their own labor, but to own your own business is not the same as being employed by someone else. When you make a lot more money owning the business than you do being an employee, right? Puts you in a different wealth bracket. That's why all their time and energy and like what they think about is not, it's not material concerns, it's not money, it's cultural issues and identity politics. They don't think about economic class because they're actually amongst the most privileged people in the fucking country. But they still have to think, oh, but where am I the victim? Where are they the victim? Let's ask the question, where are they the victim? They're the victim when at the, 500 grand a year paying job, after they're, going to fucking Harvard or MIT or some big name university and doing really well there, the boss decides to give the promotion to a white employee instead of them. That is the extent of their victimization, right? And casual racism, usually casual racism. Someone's casually racist about them being Asian. It's not personal or anything. It's just casual racism. It hurts your feelings, right? That is the extent of it for these people. And they think that they're victimized. They think, oh, white people have it better off. Oh, if only I were white, I would have it better. Yeah, but you wouldn't, though, would you? Because if you were white, you might be really poor. You might actually be a poor person or a sick person, right? I'm not gonna lie, like, yeah, I think that there is prejudice and discrimination from white bosses and stuff against minority employees. That absolutely happens. I do think that sometimes they give the white employees an easier time in getting promotions and shit. Um, really, the only solution is to not work for white people's companies. That's what I would think. If I were, yeah, then you know what happens is they end up forming their own companies and shit, and then they do the same thing and discriminate against other people, other ethnic groups. This is like absurd. When they go to the white majority companies, they probably get discriminated against, but also when they go on to form their own companies, they actually discriminate more than the white companies do. Tell me why you have white companies. Why are the white companies more diverse than the ones founded by other ethnicities who will like then only go on to hire their own ethnic group? It's absurd. The amount of like, and I have to use the same example because it's what gets recommended to me, but the amount of like East Asian companies in the United States that virtually only hire other East Asians is absurd. Like all these startups and shit. The people who found the company are Asian, and then they only go on to hire Asian graduates. Why do they do that? They're a minority. It's like you have to go out of your way to do that, you know. And no one cares. No one brings it up. That it's like extremely obvious. You can say, yeah, white companies probably do this as well. They probably do discriminate, but it's not as obvious because in the United States, white people make up like at least half the population in like every major state. So they're like one in two people. Okay? Um, it's much more obvious when you have like, you know, Indian or East Asian companies and they only hire their own people. And it's like you have to be going out of your way to do that because they only make up maximum 10% of the population. It's not even 10% in a place like California. I see this like crazy. I really thought the percentage was higher and it's not. And it's like, bro, for all the like for all the complaining of like being victimized, I see them everywhere. So visibility is high. Um, they do really well economically. So they're materially successful. Um, they have a good reputation. Like, it's the only problem is like white people don't treat them that well sometimes. Like, and if you were to like pick at random an ethnic group in the United States or in any of these developed countries you would rather be a part of, bro, you pick Asian, your odds of doing well in life are way better than being white. You can say, yeah, oh, but the top people are all white. And yeah, the majority of them are, but a lot of the people who don't do well in society are also white. If you take an average, picking Asian or Indian in a Western country, being born there, raised, you live a life, if you pick, if you grow up in those cultures as those people, your chance of doing well is much higher. It's much higher. And it's not 100%, but it's a lot higher. But they don't recognize that kind of privilege, do they? If we're talking about privilege, they don't recognize economic privilege, do they? Like, the fact that you have to be privileged in the first place to even think about these less important issues. Like, if your problem is my boss at my 500K a year job didn't give me the promotion and gave it to someone else based on ethnicity, that's a pretty good problem to have, isn't it? Like, the problem itself isn't is bad, but given the context, it kind of seems like, you know, I'm complaining about another 150K a year, whilst the majority of the population is on like, 70. It's like, holy shit. It's such a capitalist critique. Like, it's such a criticism that capitalists like, because it doesn't really change anything. It's mainly like this is corrupt, rather than the like little, what do you call it? Like, the operation of the system in little ways is corrupt, rather than it is fundamentally. It's like adjusting the people who run things, rather than actually fixing the problems with the system itself. At fundamentals, like, the problem of capitalism is the exploitation of workers and the poverty it creates and all of these things. It's not, oh, there are too many white people in high positions. Which that's apparently, like, it makes you a right winger to say that. Apparently, the leftists fucking hate that shit these days. If you say the problem is actually not too many men or too many whites, if we look at South Korea, which is one of the worst examples of, you know, capitalist corruption. Um, it's pretty bad over there. They're not run by whites. They're run by Koreans. They do the exact same thing, right? Because capitalism doesn't care what ethnicity you are. It doesn't care what gender you are. That's the point. The point is those things don't matter. They don't really matter. And the capitalist knows they don't matter. And that's why the capitalist tells people that they do, that they actually matter the most, because they are so actually unimportant. Because they actually don't affect things very much. Right? It's so stupid. They say the capitalist convinces people that one of the least important things in this system one of the least fundamental things is the most fundamental. Actually, the most fundamental thing is how much money do you have, right? What is the biggest barrier to doing things in a capitalist society? It's not your gender, it's not your race, it's money. It's always money. It always has been money. How do you know that? Because you can be every negative thing, every worse off category, and be rich, and you'll still do well. That's how you know those things don't matter that much. If you have money, you can literally just pay to leave, right? I don't like the country I'm in, but because I'm poor, I can't go anywhere else. Because I got sickness and can't work, I can't live overseas. So I have to live in this shithole where I fucking hate the culture, I fucking hate the people, and there's nothing I can do about it, right? If I had money, I could just leave. Like, oh, you got a problem with it? Just move countries then. Are you rich? You well educated? You can walk? I don't understand. These people want to change their countries without changing themselves at all whatsoever. It's absurd. Right? What they want is tyranny of the minority. They want an oligarchy where a minority group dominates in order to secure their own position by essentially weakening the position of the everyone else or the dominant group, right? Some people really believe that if whites were in the lower position and everyone else was above them, we'd be in some kind of utopian paradise, right? What a stupid fucking idea. What a stupid fucking idea. People really believe that. People really believe that. It's just false. It's just bullshit. And you know how they deal with hurt feelings and preferential treatment? By hurting other people's feelings and by giving preferential treatment to their own group. That's how they deal with it. By doing the exact same thing that they criticize the powerful groups for doing, but doing it for their own group of people. That's what they do. You see women talking shit about men and giving preferential treatment to themselves. Society actually already has massive preferential treatment for women regardless, by the way. That's not like, it's not subtle or anything. It's very overt. Society prefers women. It's set up to be easier for them to do well when things get bad. When things get bad for women, there are so many supports that don't exist for men at all whatsoever. And it's not because they need them more. It's not because they're more victimized. It's just because society's decided that they deserve to have them. And men don't deserve it. It's about who deserves it, not who actually needs it more. It's a moral thing. And society moralizes it and says women are better than men because, essentially because they're seen as inferior, because they're seen as lesser, they're given more benefits, right? This is also how they treat certain ethnic minorities in New Zealand, as they say, well, this group's worse off, so we're going to give them more benefits. Do the benefits that they give to these ethnic minorities actually improve things for those people? No, they don't. Because they don't deal with the money issues a lot of the time. They don't deal with the economic class or the cultural problems. They just give them benefits based on race, which a lot of them don't actually need, but claim anyway. Right? The whole, like, Maori Pacifica thing. Most of the people claiming that are the least deserving of it who don't actually need it. That's not a coincidence. That's how it ends up being used, like, every time. Or abused every time. Prejudice is everywhere, by the way. It's not just an ethnic thing. It's not just a gender thing. It's everywhere. It's really everywhere. I might play this later. I'm just working on the debate currently. Fact is, if I were a billionaire, I wouldn't have to work anyway, and sickness wouldn't affect me that much. Sickness affects me the most because I can't work, can't do physical and mental stuff, so I can't make money, so I can't do things. If I had money, I could just pay other people to help me out with my life, and it wouldn't affect me that much. It affects me a lot because I can't work. And so the amount of money I get per week is really low. It's less than half of full-time minimum wage. And so I can't afford to pay for the things that I would need to have in order for me to live a good life. It's not just the sickness that is so fundamentally debilitating. It is debilitating, but what adds to that is the fact that I can't pay for services, or that the services don't exist for me. They're not funded, and I can't afford them. And so, like transport, I can't afford to pay for transport every week. And so I don't go anywhere. Because I can't drive, and I can't walk that far. So I don't have the funding and the physical ability to actually do that. The physical or mental ability to actually go anywhere. I see this with women and ethnic minorities. What do they do? And right-wingers. Their victimization is hurt feelings and other people getting preferential treatment. Right? What do? They hurt other people's feelings, or hurt them regardless, and they give preferential treatment to their own group. That's essentially what they do, right? What's the difference? The people whose main victimization are hurt feelings and suffering under preferential treatment of others. Harmful preferential treatment of others, right? Um, yeah, the difference is that they don't tend to. If that's their main issue, their issue is not finance, is it? It's not finance. Finance is much more fundamental than that. Money, you know? Like, if I had money, I could probably find a pay a psychiatrist to say I didn't have this stupid ass mental illness and get me off of the compulsory treatment. I could probably, if I had a lot of money, find a psychiatrist in New Zealand or get one from overseas to come here and say that because it's true, right? But I could pay them to do that and they would do it and I would get off of it. Or I wouldn't have been put on it in the first place because they would have said, "Oh, well, we can't fuck with this guy. He's got lots of money. He can take us to court and shit." I would have a lawyer sit in on every psychiatrist appointment. That's what I would do. You know, I would pay for that. Can't do this shit because I'm poor. I don't have money. No one takes you seriously if you're poor. Literally. If you're poor, nobody takes you seriously. It's a common thread amongst worst off people. A lot of them are low wage. A lot of the worst off people in society are low wage. Think of the worst off people you know. Homeless, right? The worst off people you know are not like just really disabled people. Because they tend to be taken care of by society. They tend to have like supports, services. Society goes out of their way to treat them well, right? The worst off people I actually see, who are like obviously worst off, are homeless people because society doesn't give a shit about them. Society says, "Oh yeah," in New Zealand they say, "Go fuck yourself." If you're homeless, go fuck yourself, basically. You know, that's what they say. Most of them actually have sickness as well. It's probably mental or something. I don't know, drugs or whatever. Um, yeah, the biggest fucking scam is convincing people that identity politics matters more than finance. It doesn't. People do not realize or understand how easy the lives of the wealthy are. Right? It's so easy for them. I would say, like, sickness is that's the next most fundamental thing. When we're living under capitalism, the most fundamental thing has to be capital. But aside from that, it's obviously physical and mental impairments is the next most important thing. It's not your gender. It's not your ethnicity and your race. Those things aren't inherently harmful in the same way as being sick is. It's not the same thing. Seriously, it isn't. Money is the most important. The next is sickness and disability. But we'll focus on money because, you know, sickness and disability never goes anywhere. I would kind of go and say that sickness and disability is kind of more fundamental because if it's bad, it prevents you from making money. But also, if you already have money, you don't need to do the things that sickness and disability allows you to do a lot of the time, right? If you already have money, you can just pay to make your life less bad on sickness and disability. You don't even have to cure it. If you're a billionaire with ME/CFS, not only could you fund treatments, you could just make your life really enjoyable. You know, oh, I can't get sex, pay prostitutes. Oh, I'm feeling sad. I'm feeling, rent out a movie theater. Pay your chauffeur to drive you there, right? It's all stuff you could do, you know? Pay for the best wheelchair, right? You have your own massive house with all the supports. Even if you were severe, it's like you could pay for world-class care. World-class care. This is how it is. People will say we live under patriarchy, white supremacy, we in the West. Alright, I'll put that in brackets. Live under patriarchy, white supremacy, ableist, blah blah blah, and capitalism. Yet they only want to do away with the first 3 or however so many parts. They don't want to do away with the capitalism part, which is the most important part. The capitalism is the worst aspect because the thing about capitalism is it doesn't none of these other things matter. If this doesn't change and you're poor, you can be any of these things, and by being poor, you'll still be worse off, right? So the rest of it doesn't actually matter. The rest of it doesn't actually matter. The homeless person I've seen, most homeless people you see are male, white, and possibly not even sick. Or they're sick because they're poor, you know? The problem there with the people who are worst off in society is not this, it's not this, it's not even this, it's usually this. Usually the people who are the worst off in society are the worst off because they're poor, right? I would be in a much worse situation if I didn't live at my parents' house where I pay less rent, right? And again, I think there is a close competition between sickness, disability, and money. But the reality is, if money weren't an issue, sickness would be significantly less bad. But if you just fixed the sickness and money was still an issue, you'd probably still be poor. Or you might get to middle class, you know? But it's only because of it's still then everything depends on money, right? Call it healthy supremacist. See, society says, if we look at the leftist argument, leftist says, uh, society wants a male who's white, healthy and able, right? The thing, the thing is, if you're poor, if you're a male and you're white and you're healthy and able, but you're still poor, you don't do well in society. That's the thing, right? These things actually don't matter. These are distractions. These are preferences, like, oh, when I date, I prefer to date this kind of person. The actually important thing is how much money do you have? How much money are you making? What are your assets worth? What can you afford? That's what actually matters. You can be a female under patriarchy, a black, an Asian, any other ethnic group that isn't white. You can be disability. You can have disability. You can be chronically ill. You can have the worst fucking conditions like chronic fatigue syndrome, like you're paralyzed from the head down, like you can't move at all, right? But if you're rich, none of those other things matter. They don't matter. If you're rich, they don't matter that much. They're little things. They're little things. Right? And we can see throughout history examples of people who have lived under patriarchal society, who have been female, but they're rich, so they still do well. People who are ethnic minorities who've lived under, like, I actually can't think of any examples of this, but the people who are ethnic minorities, this exists now in white supremacist countries who do well because they're rich, who do well because they're good at business, right? They still did well, and the point is, if you do well enough and things get bad, you can just leave and go somewhere else. And if you take the money with you, you take the assets with you. That's power you're taking with you, essentially. Under capitalism, the biggest form of power is how much money do you have. It's always been that. Because it doesn't matter your own ability, your own gender, your own ethnicity, or any of these other identity politic things. If you have money, you can make other people do stuff for you, and those other people can be those other things for you, right? You don't even need to do anything yourself. If you got money, you can just pay other people to do stuff for you. It's so easy. It's so easy if you're rich. It's so easy. Right? Capitalism is the fundamental, and these are the adjectives that you add on to the top of it. You can have any other kind of capitalism. The point is, and the point of this neoliberal bullshit, this bullshit where they say the identity politics matters the most, is that capitalism is the thing that never changes, that has the biggest effect. It's the worst part is the capitalism. Because no matter anything else, if you're poor, you'll always be treated badly by society. That's the reality. You'll always be treated worse. When you get sick, it'll be harder for you to get treatment. That's how it works. They're doing this thing where they flip it these days, where they say actually males are bad because patriarchy existed in the past, so now we have to right it by saying men are bad. They actually discriminate against men. They give so many benefits to women that it's essentially discriminating against men without actually doing it. Instead of saying men can't have this, or here's a negative against men, they give women so many positives that it functions essentially as a negative against men because it makes things more difficult for them, right? It's the same with young people. They give so many benefits to the old that it's essentially punishing people for being young. Right? Because, like, all these taxpayer-funded things, who's paying for that? Everyone else except the elderly. The elderly don't walk, right? They don't pay their own benefits. And they're not, a lot of them aren't actually sick and could work if they wanted to. The ones 60s and 70s, they could still work, most of them. They just don't want to. They just don't want to. They want to live 20, 30 years of their life doing nothing. Because they think they should just be allowed to do that. No one wants to hear this shit. They want to talk about, oh, women have been oppressed for forever, and not say like, well, like, poor people have been oppressed since like always. Poor people have never not been oppressed. Anyone who has been poor, like most poor people die, right? They don't just live in servitude; they die, right? They suffer and die. That's the typical poor person's life, is suffering and then dying. It's not like, and this is everywhere, and this is happening today. You got these Western white women talking about, oh, we're the most victimized people in history. Women couldn't have a credit card until the 1970s. Meanwhile, you got people like, who are modern day slaves and just extremely poor people in like Sudan and wherever. That's just one country. Most of Africa, actually. Who suffer their entire lives and then they die. And nobody hears from them because nobody gives a shit. That's happening today. That is happening now. And you say, how does this fit into things? Well, because actually the labor that they produce is exploited by countries like the United States, like the United Kingdom, like the European Union. All of these rich countries exploit the labor, pay them very little, pay them extremely low wages because they have to work to survive, right? And these people live short, painful, suffering lives, and then they die. Right? It's like having a really bad sickness, except the cure is just money. The cure is just like food and is so easy. The cure could literally just transport them to a rich country, change their culture, and have them work there, and it would be fixed. It would be so easy. That would cure poverty for one person is just transporting them from one country to another, teaching them the language and the culture, and then getting them a job, and the poverty would be eradicated immediately for that one person, right? People will say, oh, they're poor because these countries don't have resources, and it's like, they actually do have resources. It's just the rich countries take them and pay nothing for them, and the corrupt government pockets the rest and gives the population nothing. It's not because they actually have nothing. Yeah. I saw this retarded comedian, this retarded American comedian, and he's like, oh, you know, people in Africa are hungry. Why don't they just go where the food is? And it's like, yeah, well, that's what immigration is, isn't it? That's them moving countries because there's more money in the richer states. Yet these wealthy countries fucking hate it. The populations hate immigration. They hate seeing it. Alright, it's just this retarded idiot, this stupid ass comedian, was making this point that, oh, why don't they just move to where where places are more plentiful and wealthier? And it's like, yeah, they do that, except most of the cases are not actually allowed to. You could live in a country like Sudan, and it's just like, what resources does it even have? It's mostly desert, little bit of arable land. You know, there's no industry, no, basically no services outside of the cities. It's people with fucking cattle and goats and shit, and some places growing a little bit where they can, and then fishing, and that's the fucking economy. And then they got markets and shit. It's like medieval ages, you know? Except somehow, yeah, it's like, is it even that? I don't know, it's probably uneven development in the cities and stuff. And they're at war. And they're at war, which is insane. Someone's obviously funding that. I think it's the UAE or something. So they're actually essentially being invaded domestically, like a civil war funded by foreign states. What do those foreign states get their money? From oil revenue. UAE gets its money through oil revenue, and it spends it on war and slavery. They don't even pay them a lot. Like Bangladeshi workers, they take their passports from them and just force them to build stuff. Construction workers. South Asians, all these South Asians, they take their passports and shit, force them to work, because it's legal to do that there. They have like legal slavery. It's insane. I gotta readjust this thing. You know what's funny is, like, I have sickness, which my parents just refuse to believe is like a real thing. And they actually have a lot of money, but they'll never they won't spend it on me, you know? Because they don't give a shit. Because they don't give a shit. Because that's the kind of people they are. They say, oh, we worked for it, so we're gonna spend it on ourselves. They don't care that, like, I can't do stuff. Or, like, I spend all my time at home and don't go anywhere because I can't afford transport. And they wouldn't pay for transport for me unless it was absolutely essential, like a doctor's appointment. And they wouldn't do that because they don't want to spend money on me at all. Because they're terrible people. Because that's what they're like. Right? Because that's what they're like. They don't take me places, and they wouldn't pay someone else to do it. They're choosing to let me stay at home all day and do nothing. Because they don't care. What they've decided is like, oh, you're just mentally ill. You're choosing to live like this. And if I say explicitly, no, I'm not, I don't want to live like this, I actually want to do stuff, they'll say some stupid shit like, oh, why don't you just go and do it then? Because they're mentally retarded, because my parents are mentally retarded and they're narcissists, and they just want to be right all the time to themselves. So when they believe that it's not real, and that you can just choose to do stuff but you choose not to, that's a justification to them that they shouldn't do anything to help at all whatsoever. And that's how they are. They don't help me out at all whatsoever. Sometimes they drive me to doctor's appointments. That's as far as it goes. That's as far as it goes. The only other time we ever do anything is if they want to do it. It's not because I want to do it. It's only if they want to do it. That's what they're extremely selfish. Extremely selfish. That's why I say narcissistic. They are like hyper selfish people. It's like the worst kind of white people parents. They only care about themselves. They act like they wish they hadn't had kids. They don't want to support me or my brother at all. Honestly, and they don't. They pay for little things sometimes. That's basically it. And they do that because they have so much, and it's like nothing to them. Seriously, they've got hundreds of thousands of dollars saved. And all they care about is making more. They don't spend it. We never have takeaways. They don't care about the family at all. And they make you not want to care about it either. Why should I care about them if they've never given a shit about me? Right? It's so obvious that they don't fucking care. It's so obvious. Terrible people who seem to be incapable of actually giving a shit about anyone else other than themselves. That's what they're like. What's their legacy going to be? Abuse. That's it. It's going to be abuse. And as soon as I can, once I'm able to live by myself, I'm not going to have anything to do with them, because why would I want to? They're terrible people. I don't like them at all. They've been abusive to me all the time. They're extremely bad people. Extremely bad. So, why would I want to have anything to do with them when I moved out? There's no reason why I would. There's absolutely no reason. I wouldn't want to have anything to do with them when I move out. Even being abused, like, the worst situation is not being abused. It's not having money. Because if you get abused and you have money, you can pay for stuff that makes it go away. You know? You can pay to fix the problem. If I had money, I would move out and I would pay movers to move all my stuff. Simple. I wouldn't even have to think about it. I'd just do it. Then I would be able to pay for rent. It's so obvious, and yet people ignore it all the time. Money's the most important thing. It is. It's always has been. People think it's like being smart or being physically capable. It's like the only reason why those things are considered important is because you can get jobs out of them. If you can't get a job, then you can't get paid, right? So yes, those things are important, but the point is, even if you had those things and you couldn't find a job anyway, or you weren't getting paid regardless, they'd be worthless, and money would still be the most important thing that you could have. People think if you just work hard, things will turn out well for you. That's not the case. Sickness makes you have to work hard every day to get up in the morning, and you don't get rewarded for it at all whatsoever. You don't get any reward. You actually end up being worse off because of how debilitating it is, how limiting it is for you. Not being able to walk, not being able to live a life, not being able to do things, you know. You actually end up worse off for all the effort that you put in, right? And ME/CFS in particular actually punishes effort. If you exert yourself too much, you actually get punished for it. And you end up making the sickness worse. Being smart, I mean, that's one thing, but it doesn't save you if you're poor. People used to call me smart, and then I got sick and it's made me a stupid person. It's made me into a kind of a stupid person. Because my abilities are really limited now. And I can't really interact with media in the same way I was able to. I can't read long texts. Can't read books. Can't do mentally strenuous tasks. Can't do it. Probably knowledge is the second most important thing. Money and knowledge. Money and knowing how to spend it are the two most important things. Money and knowing how to make and spend it. I hate this country, bro. I'm so poor. Literally, look, the amount they pay you for sickness is below the fucking poverty line. It's like you're putting people into poverty who can't work. If you can't work, how can you live off of less than half minimum wage a week? What? How are you supposed to do it? You can't do it. And literally, you only get rewarded if you're able to work. It's the only thing that is rewarded is productivity. If you can't be productive, how can you be rewarded? You can't. You don't get rewarded. You get punished for not being productive. Being productive is the only thing that matters under capitalism. The only thing that matters is your ability to make money. That's fundamental. That's how dating is as well. Dating is based on who can make money. If you can't make money, they don't care. And if you can make money, they will be interested in you even if you have a lot of terrible things going for you. Fucking hell, these things are so annoying. Bro, I don't even have... Those things expire after a day. I didn't even use it. This fucking sucks. And the thing, if you have enough money, it doesn't matter how you spend it, but that is something that you can control. Obviously, wasting your money is stupid. You could waste your money, that's one thing. That's when not being an idiot comes into play. Also, not being sick and all of that. Also, prejudice, like they could charge you higher prices. Ultimately, it's money that matters the most, isn't it? It's having material wealth. Because you can trade wealth for services and goods. Yo. Ran out of all the food, that's interesting. Gotta use the bathroom. Rich people, a lot of rich people don't seem to understand how easy they have it either. Every single time you hear from them, they're like fucking delusional. Saying like, oh yeah, I'm rich, but my life's still hard. Like, bro, no it's not. No it isn't. What are they talking about? Every time they go, oh yeah, I'm rich, but my life's still hard. What are they talking about? Like, if we look at me, am I bad off? Am I poor because I had a lot of money and I spent it all on stupid things? No. Am I poor because I can't make money? Yes. Am I poor because I don't have money? Yes, also. This is the thing. If I had money, I wouldn't need to make money. And it also wouldn't matter how I spent it. So it goes like this: how much you have, how much you can make, and how you spend it. I know how to spend money well. I don't really know how to make money in my position. This one affects me a lot, though, ability. That seems so unrealistic. What the fuck? What are the percentages, I wonder? tired. That is just so stupid. Why'd they make it massive? Food's arrived. I'm gonna get off stream now.